Seeing if I can get one person on here with me, going live on a Sunday. Yeah, it's probably too nice to get anyone to go live. It's a beautiful Sunday. See if anybody wants to talk about this fight yesterday. We got one person in here. Hopefully people can hear me. I have my headphones in. I'm in beautiful Chapel Hill, North Carolina, out here on a college tour for my youngest daughter tomorrow, and it's beautiful. It's in the 70s. Went for a nice run. Figured I'd talk a little bit about the fights. Jay, what's up, Jay? You know who the one is. Haha, my man. So, Giorgio, what's up, brother? So, I'm in beautiful North Carolina. I live in Connecticut, from Jersey, out here. My daughter has a college visit tomorrow. And, want to talk about this fight. So, I had a bet with Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi. Friendly bet. I think we bet like some whiskey or something. I had Beterbiev and they had Bivol. And after the fight, I texted them and said, I won the bet. And Paulie said, you really think he won? I said, yeah, I do. And Chris Algieri was just mad. You know, Chris Algieri, if you go against what he says, you're a casual and everything else, but it's all good. But they were saying that it was one of the worst decisions ever and it's a bad look for boxing. Jay Rich, I wasn't willing to say robbery yesterday, but after seeing everyone's comments, seems like 80% of the people thought Bivol won. Even Beterbiev fans might have been a robbery. That's funny because I guess I think people are swayed by other people's opinions, because yesterday I went live right after the fight and it was mixed. There was a lot of people that thought Beterbiev won. Look, I thought it was close. I thought Beterbiev won, but I'm biased. I wanted him to win. So I guess throw what I said out. I just thought there were a lot of close rounds that he edged out. But Chris Algieri, I mean, those guys think that this fight was just a robbery. And, you know, he went so far as to say it's a bad look and how it's one of the worst decisions ever. Well, I mean, there's still plenty of people that think Beterbiev won. The Oshaki Foster Conceição decision to me was much worse than this. Much worse. George, your amazing fight. I loved it. Best fight I've seen from a technical standpoint since Loma versus Haney. It was not a robbery. It was a close fight. I think that's what most people think, that it was a close fight. But, I mean, Algieri, now, Paulie Malignaggi, I read an article and he picked Bivol by knockout, which was crazy. And Algieri picked Bivol too. You know, those guys are consummate boxers. Bivol's a boxer, so I'm not surprised that they picked him. But I mean, was it a bad look for boxing? These guys think this was a bad look for boxing yesterday. Now I think 116-112 was ridiculous, a terrible score. 115-113, 114-114. I think are more in line. And honestly, if you reverse the scores except for the 116-112, I couldn't really complain. At least I think. Where are you, Harish Artist? I'm in North Carolina. I'm in Chapel Hill. My youngest daughter has a college visit at UNC tomorrow. Probably not going to go here, but I was here not too long ago with Jim Lampley. I interviewed Jim Lampley for something, and I walked on the campus of UNC. So we're here. We just got here, and we're going to check out the campus tomorrow. But I respectfully disagree with Chris Algieri that it was such a bad decision that it was bad for boxing. The 116-112, bad for boxing, but I mean, again, you talk about decisions like even Lomachenko Haney. I thought Haney won that fight, but Paulie still to this day thinks it was the worst decision ever. So it's all subjective. But look, go back to Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield won the draw. Terrible, just an awful decision. Was this on par with that? Do people think that now? Um, yeah, Jay, I want to rewatch the fight again and score it just for me. Just um, says I have to rewatch and score the fight per round. Just wanted to enjoy the moment, but my initial thought was definitely Bivol squeaked it out. Bivol or a draw at worst to me. And you're a Bivol fan, George. Or maybe they were emotional in the heat of the moment. 116, 112 is what's bad for boxing. Agreed. Like that's a bad score. That's a terrible score. 116, 112. So Beterbiev gets the majority decision. And I'm just curious: are people being swayed by people's opinions? I see a lot of boxers. Andre Ward said that it was robbery. Tank Davis said it was a robbery. But a robbery? I don't know. I don't know. But some other boxers said it was close. It could have gone either way. Um, no way Bivol only won 4 rounds. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, that's that's crazy. Look, uh, I thought he lost the last few rounds, at least the last two. Chris Algieri thinks that's a false narrative that Bivol won that last round. Again, I would have to watch it again to see. Really doesn't matter though what anyone says because it's a win for Beterbiev and it's not going to get changed. I think he's 39 years old and he's been on the downside of his career, and I don't see him getting any better. I hope they have a rematch. Again, it wasn't a great fight. Beterbiev really, he had problems with Bivol. And Bivol had problems with Beterbiev too at times. His strength. Tay Atlas said he thought Arthur 175. So, Algieri was coming after me because I thought Beterbiev won. So we'll see if he comes after Teddy whenever they do their show, because I'm sure they'll talk about that. Um, just to I think on ProBox they had a watch along now. They do watch alongs, which I think that's a great idea with Paulie and Chris. I would do that. And I didn't see the show, but I just saw a clip and it said, once again, bad look for boxing. I just don't know. Maybe it's the reaction to the 116, 112. If it was 115, 113 on 2 cards for Beterbiev, I don't know. Would the hate be there? I shouldn't say hate, but man, they really detested the scores. Jay, my opinion of the fight hasn't been swayed by others, but they sway me to use the R word. It was close though, for sure. Beterbiev looked beatable for the first time in a long time. We should do a watch along and score the fight. That'd be fun to hear our opinions on who won the round. Yeah, the bad thing is that's replaying fights. First of all, DAZN, like on YouTube, DAZN, they're run by idiots. I'll say this because if they would let people use clips not to be monetized, but to promote their fights, it would be better for DAZN because their production sucks. They're cheap. But I got flagged because I used I didn't get flagged. They pulled my content a couple of days ago. I think I used I don't know what it was. I used part of a weigh-in or something from DAZN, and they're just idiots. They should work with boxing people who put content out there, but they're short-sighted and they're idiots. So anyway, but a watch along would be great. It's just, how can you do it? I mean, I know it was on ESPN. I don't know. I think if Turkey puts the fight out there, maybe you can replay it. But Giorgio, that's a bet. Giorgio, don't get me started with DAZN. They said the undercard was going to be part of your subscription, and they changed up last minute and made a pay-per-view. I was furious. But that's DAZN. I know because I work in production. DAZN is notoriously cheap. DAZN, Yeah, look, you're right. They're out for money, and I get it. It's a business. But boxing analyst, my man, run Canelo versus Beterbiev. Oh, see, now suddenly people think that's a viable fight. I still think Beterbiev beats him, but Beterbiev is 39, and he's not getting younger. He's not going to get faster or stronger. I think he can fight better, but he's going to be 40 at some point. So, but I'm going to see. I would love to run the fight back and do a watch along and have people score the rounds. I think that'd be interesting. But again, it is a moot point because no matter how much people complain, it's not going to be changed. It won't be changed. Um, O'Shaquie Foster, I thought clearly beat Conceição. Now he gets a rematch. Now he gets to make the wrong a right. You know, Ismael Barroso had his fight with Oli, where he was winning and it got stopped. It stopped. He lost on a TKO, which was BS. But complaining won't do anything. Let me give a shout out. Now you talk about judges. The one judge had it 116, 112. I thought it was bad. Was it the worst scorecard ever? I don't think so. But as much as all of us boxing fans, we complain, rightfully so, and nothing ever gets done. I'm working on a project. I'm working on a documentary series. One of the fights is from 1992, Kevin Kelly and Troy Dorsey. It's on, it was a USA fight, USA Network. It's on YouTube somewhere. Unbelievable fight. In the Paramount, which is the theater now in New York. One of the scores in that fight, it was a 12-round war. I think one of the scores was 116 to 110. It was that fight probably could have been a draw. Could have went either way. And it was scored 116, 110. Let me tell you about a guy named Randy Gordon. Randy Gordon is a friend of mine. Randy Gordon was a former editor of Ring Magazine, and Randy Gordon was the former New York State Athletic Commissioner. He was the commissioner for that fight with Kevin Kelly and Troy Dorsey. One of his judges scored it 116 to 110, and this is going to come out in the doc. The doc, I don't know, it's going to come out sometime probably next year. For the first time he talked about this, that judge that scored at 110, he talked to him after the fight, called him into his office. He said, "I can't use you anymore." He asked him about that scorecard. He said, "Do you think this scoring was just?" And they talked about it. And he said, "I can't use you anymore. You're." And the guy, that one judge, which you can look up, I don't remember his name. He never worked a fight again. That was an athletic commissioner who did something. Now I think this guy was retired, so he was a little older. But the point is, Randy Gordon did something. He saw that this was a terrible score, and Randy still thought Kevin Kelly won. The fight was Kevin Kelly won a decision. Randy thought it was much closer. That judge never worked again. That doesn't happen today in boxing. I started a list, it's on my computer, of terrible judging, and this judge has scored at 116, 112. I'll put it on there too. You have to see, do these judges keep working? I think they do. Do these judges get suspended? If they do, it's behind closed doors, but boxing would do itself a favor if they said, okay, you know, this guy scored at 116, 112. He can't work another championship fight for 6 months, and he's got to go take whatever courses they take. Anyway, you know, Randy Gordon was proactive. Boxing is not proactive. The fans, we're proactive, but what can we do except voice our opinions? There's nothing else we can do. It's the people that are in control that can do things. Let's see. Yeah, Big Turkey. So George, see that DAZN doing that? Yeah, man, it doesn't surprise. Hey, make sure you hit the thumbs up. That's bogus, man. That they did that they made that a pay-per-view. I streamed it for free. I didn't pay for that. Levi, my man, you're right about DAZN's production value. It seems like it's been going down lately. Yes, sports production period is getting super cheap. That's why there's all these layoffs. Yeah. Jay Rich, Big Turkey had Bivol 7-5. So look. Rematch, right? Mr. Swamp. Whoa. I won $7 grand from the fight, going over 8 0.5 rounds for the Bivol fight. So if you won 7 grand, Mr. Swamp, how much did you put up? I mean, props to you, man. 7 grand. That's a great bet. You know what, man? I'm not getting into betting because every time I start thinking, hey, I know boxing a little bit, I go back to I'm the guy that bet $200 on Oscar De La Hoya to beat Manny Pacquiao. So, Fight Fan 65, his knee wasn't ready for this fight. It showed he wasn't the same Arthur. Maybe it wasn't his knee. Maybe it's just him. Because, look, Bivol fought a guy who is not in his prime, and he still had all sorts of problems. Con Shawnery, my man, I've seen more than a few conspiracy-worthy events in boxing history. This wasn't it. See, that's what I think. But are we in the minority? I don't know. Steven, I had Bivol 7-5. He boxed off the back foot, really using lateral movement. Archer only looked like himself in rounds 11 and 12. My man Con, it was a close fight. Both did amazing, and I'm not particularly mad at the result. Yes, Con, you're with me. The 116-112 was terrible. Boxing analysts, what would happen if a lot of judges started making up insane scorecards consistently for fun? You know what? Boxing would let them do it. Boxing would let them do it, unfortunately. Con Shawnery says, I don't see the scoring as being myopic. Most experts that were ringside didn't take exception, including Teddy Atlas, and he's outspoken about everything he sees. Yo, Doc, what's up, George? Yeah, it was a great fight. I don't know. Was it a great fight? Con Shawnery, the only people who should be pissed are the ones who lost money on it. Jay Rich, you would probably have to bet like 5 grand to win that 7K. The over-under was at 10.5. Yeah, look, I mean, he won 7 grand, he put out some dough. But he had I was going somewhere with that. He had the guts to do that. If I was betting, man, I can't even say. It's all hindsight now. But that over was probably the best bet because I thought if Archer won by stoppage, it would have been late over 8.5. But if the over-under was 10.5, that's a tough one. But I don't know, man. I wanted to jump on here to see if people really thought that this was such a bad look for boxing and I respect Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi to the utmost, really. Like they're those guys. It's not just that they're great analysts and they call fights. Their whole lives are immersed in boxing. They no longer fight, but they work in the industry, in the field. That's what they do. So I respect them. They know how to fight. They know how to score a fight, break a fight down. But to hear them say that this was such a bad look for boxing, is it overstepping a little bit? It's their opinion, and they're entitled to it. I just think it's a bit far. I don't see it as being. It's not even the most controversial decision of this year in boxing. Again, I think Oshaki, it was a terrible decision against Conceição. Con Shawner says, I enjoyed the fight. Doc, you don't think it met the hype? Well, no. Well, if you're talking about the hype, like the damn movie trailer that Turkey put out, then no, it didn't meet the hype because did you see that trailer? These guys were cutting people's heads off, and Bivol sliced someone's neck, and they were killing people, and it made it seem like these guys were warriors, and they're gonna kill, and they're gonna stop at nothing. So yes, if you compare it to that trailer that came out, it did not live up to the hype. I never believed it was going to be a slugfest. So I thought it was a good fight, not a great fight. And people try to get all on their high horse and say it was technical boxing at its highest. No, it really wasn't. At times it was, but Bivol got tired, he got sloppy. Beterbiev was kind of robotic, which he almost always is. In terms of the night boxing, Wardley was a highlight. Yeah, it was. Man, that was a nasty, nasty knockout. Levi, I don't know what people expected from the fight. Bivol's not a big KO puncher, and better be if usually starts slow. Yeah, so that's why I guess it. I wasn't expecting a thriller. So boxing analysts, many agree Whitaker looked for a way out. Do you believe Clark quit as well? Whitaker, I didn't see that fight, but I just heard about it and I saw the highlights. He had a tough time in that fight, and he was saying he wasn't too far from fighting the winner of Arthur and Bivol, and yes, he is. He's not close to that. Jay Rich said, I thought no way other guy would get knocked out. Wasn't much value in Bivol decision. That's why I suggest better be a decision. LOL. Whitaker definitely looked like he faked an injury. Clark had a literal dent in his face. He definitely didn't look for a way out. Oh yeah, boxing analyst, do you believe Clark quit as well, bro? You saw that shot he got hit with, right? He was draped on the ropes, and he was, like you saw, his face was twisted. He was out. I mean, if he was looking for a way out by saying, punch me as hard as you can, you 250-pound man, then he got his way out. Khan says, I think Beterbiev was a tad tentative, and maybe this was related to his recent recovery from injury, but he seems to be slowing a bit. He's 39 years old. Steven, Paulie and Algieri were boxer movers, so they like that style. It's controversial like this generation's Leonard Hagler. No. That fight in nothing is like Leonard Hagler in no type of way. My opinion, Steven. My opinion. Contrary, Turkey was making neck slit gestures too. It wasn't quite that. I thought he was doing that because he didn't want the camera on him, and that's a bad look. If you know anything about Saudi Arabia, and that, like doing that was a bad look, bro. That was a bad look. Down goes Frazier. Fight Fan 65 says Bivol took and didn't finish. But so I mean, Steven, I agree with you about Paulie and Algieri because they were boxer movers and they do like that style, and they both picked Bivol to win, but that Leonard Hagler fight is still controversial. It still is. Let me tell you something. It's still, that was 87, so I can't do math. So how many years ago is that? People still debate that. People still talk about that fight. People aren't going to be debating this fight. And it wasn't, they're just not. That's just my opinion. Teach! Salute, George. What'd you think about Oscar versus Trinidad? Man, well, I was rooting for Trinidad. I couldn't stand Oscar back in the day. I couldn't. I thought he picked on a lot of older fighters, smaller fighters, and I was rooting for Felix Trinidad. But somewhere in that fight, 5th, 6th, 7th round, Oscar looked so good and was boxing so well and was doing some things in there that were incredible. He had the blueprint that he showed that could beat Trinidad. You just box him. He couldn't handle the jab. From a great fighter. Oscar was a great fighter. Oscar was bringing it to Trinidad, and then he ran the last few rounds. He gave the fight away. It was still a close fight. Look, I was happy that night that Trinidad won. I've never cared enough, I guess, to watch it again and score it. But Oscar, at some point, man, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe Oscar has this type of skill set. He looked phenomenal, and then he threw it all away. He ran and stopped fighting, and it was just bizarre. It was just bizarre. Contrary, I didn't do any post research, but Clark looked like his jaw got dislocated with that pummeling. Yeah, Con, they said something happened with his cheek. He had some kind of a. Well, Trent Nonpareil says Wardley broke Clark's jaw in 2 places. Frazier already had surgery, so there you go. Jay Rich, I was born in 97, so that was 37 years ago. Okay, so there you go. That's the math. No, bro. Wait, 87, 97, 07, 17. Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. See, I'm no mathematician. So yeah, Trent, thank you for that. He was hurt. Boxing analyst, Clark took the egg weight dent that Wilder dreamt of. Man, boxing and don't go there. You know, you start in this Wilder thing and people will start jumping all over you. Um, that's a whole other conversation. Cole says to me, Bivol won clearly, and I bet on Beterbiev. Okay. Then Khan says, I didn't think it was that clear, Cole. So Bivol looks pretty beat up, more so than Beterbiev, in my opinion. Fight Fan 65 said that. That's another thing Algieri was saying. Oh, just because he's got marks on his face doesn't mean you lost. And that's true. That's true. I was, don't ask me why, but I just watched a horrible fight. Duran Leonard 3. Terrible, terrible, terrible fight. Sugar Ray won probably 11 of the 12 rounds. But he got cut in the last round. He got head-butted twice, I think. If you looked at them right after the fight, if you didn't see the fight, Leonard had blood all over him. Looked like he lost the fight. So, you know, how you look obviously doesn't matter. And Algieri was making that point. And Khan, another good point. Bivol visibly slowed the second half and allowed Beterbiev to take over. Khan, Oscar screwed himself in much the same way when he lost to Trinidad. Man, I got to watch that fight again. I haven't seen the entire fight since it ran. I've seen highlights, but I want to see if maybe because sometimes, you know, there's, what is it, revisionist history? You make things up in your head that didn't really happen. So did Oscar really look that good at certain moments in the fight? I seem to think he looked incredible certain moments in that fight. I don't know. People who judge based on how face looks are casuals. Exactly. So, look, I just want to jump on because Algieri was like, and then he stopped texting me last night when I sent him he was saying, oh, he was just going at me for thinking that Beterbiev won, and I sent a screenshot of Beterbiev's BoxRec page, and he was like, "Oh, of course no, it's just like casuals to send screenshots." And he was feeling it. So I although I did get one last zinger, and I said, I can't wait to collect my bet. So, Khan, it would be a good one to review, George. That's another one. Like, I would like to see that. Steven says, Oscar beat Trinidad easily. Yeah, he moved around last 2-3 rounds, but Tito was missing almost everything. Yeah, he was. But while Tito was missing, and I this is what I remember. Tito was missing, but Oscar was doing nothing. So how do you score a round if one guy's coming forward, throwing punches, landing some, but missing most, and the other guy's literally moving away, doing nothing? You got to score it for the guy that's throwing the punches, right? Boxing analyst, do you think a fourth fight between Hagler and Hearns would have been any good? Boxing analyst, you know boxing, so you know that Hagler and Hearns only fought once. So I think you meant a second fight, right? Between Hagler and Hearns. I think Hearns deserved a rematch, and they were going to rematch, but then a little nothing fighter named Sugar Ray Leonard said, I want to come back and fight you, Marvin, and that derailed any shot Tommy Hearns had of getting a rematch with Hagler. You know, as good as that fight was, and I was all in on Hagler, I'm glad they didn't have a rematch, because that fight was so dramatic and such a great fight, and it might not be the greatest fight of all time, but I think it's the greatest mega event fight of all time, because that had so much hype. It lived up to the hype and more. Yes, Ward Gotti and Corrales Castillo did too, but those weren't two of the best fighters on the planet, to be honest. And Tommy Hearns, what a man. That dude broke his hand. He broke his hand in the first round. And his legs were gone, and he kept going. He kept trying to win and never complained. Never used an excuse. HBO used to, the week after the fight, that fight was on closed circuit. A week later, it would be on HBO, and they did interviews. I think Hagler might have been in the studio, and Tommy was remote. Tommy had a cast on his hand. Didn't even say it. The only reason why you knew it is because at some point he lifted up his hand, and he had the cast. Nobody asked him about it. What a man. What a man. Um, Cole, as much as I love Riyadh season, we need better atmosphere than Saudi. I agree, but look, man, they're paying the money. They're paying the money, so it's not going anywhere. Steven, did Algeri's house get ruined in the storm? Got to take it easy on Floridians at the moment. No, he's all good, man. Like, I reached out to him and Paulie, and they were fine. They're completely fine. No damage. No damage at all. Analyst, yeah, what? Wait. Analyst, how you gonna test me on something? He said I was testing your historian knowledge. You know your stuff. Come on, man. I knew that you knew that they didn't fight 3 times. Contrary, 3 Hagler Hearns fights. I've got some fights to catch up on. Can you imagine? My God, I don't think they could have survived all those fights. Um, Whoops. Let's see. Algeria was swimming with the alligators during the storm. I thought about that. I thought about that in Florida, because I don't live in Florida. I know they have gators. When those waters are like that, man, I would I would not go outside, because aren't those alligators like just like going down your street? I thought about that because I was watching some I don't know, some clip. I was watching some clip. That's my wife calling. I was watching some clip, and I thought about that. Like, there's got to be alligators. Just, oh man, that's my wife. I told my wife I went out for a run, and then jumped on here, and she's like, "Where are you going?" Because we're going to Duke. We're gonna go to Duke University right now. Walk around the campus. So, I'm gonna mosey back inside, but me and alligators don't mix. Yeah, Duke is beautiful, huh? Well, we're gonna see UNC tomorrow. We have a guided tour from a student. So, right now, we're gonna drive over to Duke, because we're in Chapel Hill. So we're gonna drive over to Duke and see Duke, but I might jump on later too, because it's just fun talking. Steven, George, would you call Turkey His Excellency if he brought back HBO boxing? I just might kiss the ring if he doesn't. Look, man, I'll call anybody His Excellency if they brought back HBO boxing. But if they did it the way we did it, the way HBO did it. But anyway, Mike Tyson is next to be iced. Oh boy, boxing analyst. People are gonna be talking about that. All right, I'm out of here. Talk soon. Man, I don't even know how to end this thing.